Hi everyone, welcome in. This is Julie Maxon, the Maine Stamper. I am here for your weekly card class from Maine. I am so excited to be here with you on this Monday. We are exploring 10 weeks of Christmas trees, pine trees, all things forest. And we started out last week, we kicked it off. Week 1 of the Festival of Trees was last week. So if you joined me for last week's class, thank you. We explored the Merriest Trees bundle, which was a really great way to kick off the Festival of Trees that I'm going to be exploring with you. So we're on week number 2, and we're going into another really very foresty stamp set or bundle, and it's called the Forever Forest, and it's all pine trees. It's all trees, really. And so I did pull in an extra sentiment set, because I did want to get, thanks Melissa for letting me know, all good. I did want to get some sentiments on my cards. And of course, I'm turning most of my pine tree cards into Christmas cards because most of us are in Christmas mode right now. I did a poll on Positive Paper Crafters on Saturday and asked if anyone was working on Halloween cards, Thanksgiving cards, hi Patty, Christmas cards, and Jane put in other. And most people are working on Christmas cards right now, so I think it's fantastic because the season is upon us. We have to get our act together, right? So we're going to be exploring some more pine tree, Christmas tree type cards tonight using the Forever Forest bundle, which is fantastic. Let me get you over to my workspace and we're going to start talking about the card class and all the good things that I have in store for you. And make sure you're saying hi as you jump on. I'd love to know who's hanging out with me in the craft room tonight. So let me transition you over and we're going to take a look here at our offer. So again, I'm going to be using the Forever Forest bundle. We're going to work on 3 cards tonight, and you get this card class. You're going to get 6 card kits. These are the card kits. We have beautiful, and I forgot to mention, there are specialty papers in each one of these card kits. This one is Pool Party Lost Lagoon. You get 2 of those. You get 2 of the shaded spruce and white, and you get this really fancy gold paper here. And then you're going to get 2 card kits here. We've got, and this one did have some embossing. It's kind of tucked in behind here. This shaded spruce is embossed with the Timber 3D embossing folder. This one is embossed with the Snowflake new folder, which I love. And there, again, specialty paper. So you're going to see that shiny paper in each one. These are Christmas cards. They should be a little over the top. So these are the card kits. You get 2 each of the 3 designs that I'm going to be working on with you tonight. With a $40 order, and my host code this week is 7GSDFMSS. $50 order is going to get you a spool of my favorite ribbon from the mini catalog. This is my favorite ribbon. It is absolutely beautiful. It's got the silver on it, gorgeous, and it's a little bit sheer. Translucent almost, right? So it is gorgeous. It's called sheer ribbon. I love this ribbon. Again, a really great way to dress up your Christmas cards because it's got that little bit of extra bling. So this is your free gift with your $50 order. You'll get the card kits and the ribbon this week. We're gonna be using that tonight. Forever Forest is a cling stamp set. Again, all trees. You can see stars and moon. You can see little snowflakes. This looks like either a snowbank or, to me, a footprint in the snow. I'm thinking footprint in the snow, right? So you're going to see in here, most of my stamps are mounted up and ready to go. I've got, well, I shouldn't say most of them. 2 of them are mounted up and ready to go. But it feels like most of them because they're big stamps. They took up a lot of room. I almost used this one and I ended up putting it back. I have some things here that I worked on a little bit. So I keep my scraps right in my stamp case to inspire me. As mentioned earlier, I am going to be using a sentiment stamp set. This is all sentiments, where our Forever Forest stamp set is all images. This one, Joy to You, is all sentiments. And it's great for Christmas cards. It's got big blocks of letters, which I absolutely adore. We're going to use these in a few different ways today. This is the Forever Forest dies. So you can see lots of dies here. When they come in on the 6x6 sheet, you know there's a lot, right? You've got some mountainside ones here, all trees. This is really great. Some little stars, some clouds, right? But everything in here really is tree related. As mentioned, I am using the Timber 3D embossing folder and then the Snowflake one, which I can't think of the name of that right now. I do have something fancy dies in the first card, and I used one of these dies in the first card. And if you are watching at home and you're like, man, I would love to make similar cards, these are really basic shapes. So grab out whatever dies you have that have basic shapes. Grab a punch, and you can make something very similar to this card, but I am using something fancy. So I just wanted to share with you kind of what's in your card kits. so that you have an idea. That offer is good through end of day on Friday. Let's talk about the specialty papers just for a hot second. We are going to be using this one right here, the blue, which is in the first card kit. It's called Tartan Foil. There's Copper Clay, Lost Lagoon, and Pebbled Path in here. We're going to be looking at some of this, and it has different patterns front and back. On our second card, we are actually using the Joyful Specialty Designer Series paper. This is in the mini catalog. I think it's on low inventory right now if it's still available. We're using this green and gold pattern, but you can see the beautiful, gorgeous patterns in here, like really lovely paper. And for the third card, again, the foils and the fun, right? This is another online exclusive, naturally gilded. And this one has multiple metallic colors. We're going to be using the one with white and silver because it matches our beautiful ribbon, right? But in here you've got copper, gold, and silver for your metallic background type pieces. So those are some of the specialty papers that are going to be in our card kits. Hi Jess, Deb, Sarah loves the trees. Hi from the Cape. Oh, I know, it's great paper, isn't it? I love it too. All right, so let me get organized here and we're going to start working on our first card. I haven't showed you cards yet. I'm going to tease you a little bit with how awesome they are. Oh, before I do this, I have to show you really quickly. This is hilarious. So I got this in the mail today. It's a flyer, right, for BJ's. And I saw these right here, these metal tree collars. Now, I had no idea what a metal tree collar really was. Last week we did the merriest trees. So these are our cards from last week, right? So I did cards. You can watch the video if you want. Then there's this thing right here that they have at the base of the tree. I really didn't understand what this was supposed to be because I'm kind of, I don't have a metal tree collar, or a tree collar, I guess I should say, right? I knew it was the base, but I didn't realize what it was. And lo and behold, very trendy, right? Stampin' Up seems to be very trendy. These are metal tree collars. So a light bulb moment when I was looking through my flyer today. Now I know what those are. So now I share the information with you in case you were like as clueless as I was. Maybe you guys all knew that. That was new to me. I didn't know what that was supposed to be. It was a base of some sort. So I'm going to just divvy up this card kit real quick and we're going to start working on our first card together. Now this again is that tartan foil paper. This is the Lost Lagoon, and on the back side we have a piece just as shiny but more white with a different checked pattern there. So those are always hard decisions. I may flip the paper for this first card just so you can see what it would look like if you flipped the paper too. I'm grabbing out parts and pieces. For the first card, I do have a card base ready to go. This is a pool party card base. So we're going to talk about the bones of your card, but maybe you want to see what this card looks like even. Let's bring in our first card. This one is called Wishing You a Very Merry Christmas. Now you're going to see some embossing here. This is silver because it goes so nicely with our little ribbon. You can see all these great blues and greens. Beautiful colors. I love this color sample together. And actually, hi Lori, hi Michelle. You guys are sneaking on here while I'm setting up for our first card. That's so awesome. Thank you for saying hi. I probably should have shown you in the catalog where this stamp set is. It's on page 20, and you're going to see some beautiful samples in here too. So they've got some really great outdoorsy type samples. Now, they don't necessarily scream Christmas to me, but that's even better because that means you can use these stamps and dies year round. So I'm kind of taking the color pattern here. They use the pool party, a little bit of blue-green here, and I really loved that first sample. And here's another one where they really jumped on that little kind of blue tone. So my very first card, that is the direction that I went in. I mean, it was just kind of seamless to do so. So I'm going to bring in my adhesive and we're just going to put the bones of our card together. Now every week I talk about the bones. So basically this is, make sure you know which way you're opening if you want to create the card similar to mine. This is just what you have at home before you even start stamping and die cutting once you get the kits, right? So this is what you can do without any question whatsoever. And then if you don't have the stamps and dies that I'm using, that's where you substitute in. Now here's where we make the choice, right? So I have this pattern here, or I have this pattern here. Now obviously on my first card I used the darker one. I'm still kind of on the fence about this. I may wait and put this together in a little bit after we do our stamping, but you're going to see that you're going to be able to mat this white layer. This other white paper that you're getting is shorter and smaller. It's really like this, it's just not going to work to mat this signer paper. You're going to be stamping on this one. So we're going to just leave that aside for right now. and we're going to do our stamping. We're just going to start stamping and work on all the other stuff. So this is our stamp paper, rotating it this way, and here is our first stamp. This is a big stamp. It's a grouping of 3 trees. Really beautiful. And we're going to do something a little bit creative with it. So we're bringing in Pool Party and Lost Lagoon ink. I am going to need a dauber for this first part. So what I'm going to do first, and you can do this with any stamps, they work best with red rubber. So keep this in mind if you have anything with red rubber that you want to add more than one color of ink to. So right now I'm just putting all the Pool Party on here, and I'm putting the ink down onto my stamp rather than trying to fit this across my ink pad, because this is such a big stamp. So the Pool Party is on. Got lots of Pool Party ink on there. Now I'm going to bring in Lost Lagoon in a sponge dauber. And I'm going to add in, so I'm just going to daub on some ink onto my dauber here, and I'm going to add in some of this dark color just on the outside edges. Well, I should say one outside edge. I'm going to go with, as I'm looking down at the red rubber, I'm going with the right side of my trees. So I'm just adding that ink on there. So I don't know if you can tell or not, but there's dark ink and then there's the lighter ink. So this is 2 different tones of ink. Now you want to start with the light one and then add the dark one, because otherwise it's really hard to go in the opposite direction, right? If I put on the Lost Lagoon ink and then tried to put on Pool Party, the Pool Party would not show up against the Lost Lagoon ink. So you have to start light and then you have to go dark. And this is the effect that you get. And I really think it's really awesomely lovely. Now you can, again, do this with any stamps. It looks really nice with trees, right? But think about your flowers too. You can start with a light color for a flower and then just do some edging in a darker color, and it just gives you that 2-tone look, and it's just so lovely. So we are going to just close this up. We're going to be die cutting a little bit today too. Let me move my stamp aside, and we are die cutting this with, well, I'm not actually die cutting this one right now, but this is the die that's going to come around here. So you're going to see that it's going to cut this out. And when you're done, it's going to look like this. So the trees don't actually separate. Now you could come in here with scissors if you wanted to separate these out and make 3 individual trees, but they are a grouping of 3 and they are really lovely. So just like that, I was able to kind of create the same effect. I'll die cut that one later and use it up. And then I'm just showing you on this piece of the Pool Party, you would be die cutting these, and I grabbed these out because I thought these were kind of cool. These are like the inside sections of the tree, right? So you're going to be able to get 3 of them on here just like this, and that's these pieces right here. And once they're die cut out, right, you've got this piece right here. They're sticking in here. So I die cut all 3 of these, and then I've got these 3 individual tree sections that can go inside the tree, and they're all the same. You know, they're going to fit in here. They're going to fit right in here just like this. So you can make your trees a little bit more 3D if you want to, kind of give them that look. Now what I did is I actually sponged a little bit of Lost Lagoon ink. So again, I wanted to deepen them up, bring in some different color. So I'm going to grab my Lost Lagoon dauber again, and I'm just going to put it right on here. I'm not even going to hold it down, or I'm just holding one end and kind of grabbing the other end and just putting some ink on. Now, if you feel like it needs a little bit more, feel free just to kind of brush into the middle of that. And then once you've got the ink on here, just bring in these 2 so you can kind of see side by side. Hopefully you can see side by side what a big difference from adding the ink to not adding the ink. The ink really brings everything to life. I feel like the ink just pops it right, you know, makes it wonderful. So we're just going to go ahead and continue to put a little bit of ink on here on each of these, and then I would glue these down to the tree, my little tree trio. So again, this is our Festival of Trees. We are on week 2. I hope you guys are I mean, I know we're just getting into it, but I love me some pine tree stuff. All right, so for these, I took a little bit of green glue here, a little bit of glue, just along the center spine. Now, if you're looking at this and thinking it looks kind of like a spine, the bones, right? Kind of like, it looks like bones to me. I don't know if it's the Halloween season or what, but this looks a little bit like you could probably get away with something Halloween themed and a backbone, and I don't know, I wonder if he'd fit on the skeleton somewhere. So anyway, that's where sometimes I see things and think, wow, that shape looks like. So these just come right in here, just like that. They kind of bring our tree to life a little bit more. So we have our lovely trees. And back to this again real quick. So if I were to put this on here and on here, I think I'm going to do it because I really do want to see the difference between the two. So let's just go. And then if you guys can vote at home, right? You can be like, nope, I like the solid blue, or do you like the white and blue checkers? Because there's two different sides to the paper. All right, so I just matted that together, and I'm going to go ahead and glue this down too. So again, this part right here, this card base, your designer paper, this Lost Lagoon layer, this is your bones. And I'm putting everything down flat right now. So that's just the bones of your card. And then of course you've got a sentiment piece that you could use with whatever sentiment you have at home. Now, if you don't have, oh my goodness, my little bones here fell off, or my little tree center, probably didn't press it down hard enough while the glue was setting. Okay, so we do have to heat emboss our sentiment. And again, I'm using the sentiments from Joy to Use stamp set. And on this one, I have the Wishing You a Very Merry Christmas. So we're going to bring in some heat embossing equipment. And we're going to do silver. So again, this is going to make everything gorgeous with our silver ribbon. And again, it's my favorite ribbon. I love this ribbon more than any other ribbon in the mini catalog. And I'm really glad it's back in stock. This was out for a while. And as you might know, if you're shopping, a lot of the things, the embellishments and what have you, ribbons, out of stock. They keep pushing the autumn, All About Autumn paper is now going to be back in stock on October 30th. They pushed that back a bit. So it is hard to get hold of some of these things. So when this came back in stock, I was really excited that I would be able to share this with you as your gift this week with your order. Now that is totally crooked, but we're going to go with that too. And I'm going to just use my paintbrush and just scrape off a little bit there on the sides where I had my fingers holding onto it. If I can find my tweezers, that might work out perfectly too. Okay, let's cover up the embossing powder, Julie, before we make a really big mess today. I'm going to turn on my heat gun and we're going to emboss. Oh, Jess says it's fish bones. That's so awesome. Hi, Karen. I love those trees too. Okay, Michelle's already voted for the white and blue check. That is so cool. All right, my heat tool is heated up pretty nicely. So we're just going to come in here. This is where magic happens. I love watching the silver just kind of run here, whatever color you're embossing with, right? The powder is kind of dull. Oh, the R is on the Mary and the U. So you can kind of see as I'm going here, you can see how the heat is hitting this powder and it's making it all shiny. I adore it. So there we go. I think I got everything. I always turn it in the light just to make sure it all looks shiny. And once it's all shiny, it's pretty much done. So you don't want any powder on there. If there was powder on there and I was to touch that, it would just come right off. So that's how that works. We're going to bring in a Pool Party ink and a dauber because I just want a little bit of ink here along the edges of the sentiment piece. That's just going to help that pop a little bit too. Just a little bit, not a lot, just enough to make the edges a little bit darker. And now we're going to finish putting this one together. Now I did put on the trees flat, so we're going to put the trees on flat. Again, just some adhesive here. And I'm going to put them right about here. The jury's still out with me. I'm not sure if I like the white one better yet or not. So I'm still going to debate that for just a second. But while I do that, I'm going to go ahead and put some dimensionals on the back of my sentiment. Oh, one of those stuck to my finger, so off it came. We'll do 5 of these. Let me peel off the backings. And we're going to put this the right side up would be really handy, right? So Frank had a birthday on Friday, and he got one of those upside down cards. Not a hand, well, he got some handmade cards. So thank you for everybody that sent him the handmade card. But he got one that was a store-bought card that didn't open this way. Like, you read it this way, but it didn't open this way. It opened the opposite way. And I thought, oh my gosh, I mean, those are funny cards, right? Because you try to open them, but you really can't. And I thought, you know, sometimes as a card maker, we actually have that problem where we put the front on backwards because we think we know which way it opens, and then it doesn't. And maybe that should be an on-purpose thing for a funny card, right? All right, so I'm just working off the spool here. You'll be working off your spool too if you get this ribbon at home. So I'm just gonna create a little bow here. There's a lot less waste when I work off the spool. Like, this is my waist, so I love to work off the spool. And then I'm just gonna bring in some tear and tape, and we're gonna make sure we got a nice little bit of tape here on the back. I think I have green fingers now. I think I had green fingers earlier too when I was playing with these cards. And there we go. So I'm actually adding the bow down here kind of at the bottom of the trees here. Maybe I'll move that over just a little bit. Now the nice thing here is because it's a sheer ribbon, it kind of covers the sentiment a little bit, but not like completely where you can't even read through it. So there is card number 1 with the white check on the right and the darker blue here on the left. And I'd like to know which one. Now that I'm looking at the white, I think I like the white one too, Michelle, just because it looks a little bit lighter and brighter. But when you get these at home, you've got 2 card kits. You can make one of each. So if you can't decide, you could just make one of each, and then there you go. Not a problem, right? I like having those kind of problems. Not a problem. Not a problem are good problems. All right, we're going to move on to card number 2, and we're going to continue with the fancy fun papers. So card number 2, this is Shaded Spruce. And I'm going on the record here. Shaded Spruce is not my favorite green. I love a nice dark green. I love this paper. By the way, this specialty paper will have white on the back. It is meant to only be used this way. Okay, so I'm going to divvy up my card kit here. Shaded Spruce, not my favorite color of green, and I love green. Shaded Spruce is a hard color to use, I feel like, but I'm starting to like it more. So I think the secret here is the more that I use something, the more that I like it. I'm going to bring in a scrap paper because we're going to be doing some fun things on this paper with our beautiful cardstock. Okay, so our next card, I'm calling this one Peace and Joy. Now this is kind of a combination card of silver and gold, right? So silver and gold, 2 beautiful colors, especially at Christmas time when you want those shiny metallics. So we're using both. We're using them, and they look really pretty together. Once upon a time, in my younger years, I was not really a fan of mixing silver and gold, but now I don't know if it's more trendy now or if it's just grown on me. But I'm going to bring in some Shaded Spruce ink in my blending brush, and we're going to darken down. Now this is a piece of Shaded Spruce that is embossed. So it's got a wood grain look to it. So it's coming to you already embossed. You don't have to do this at home. You don't have to have this embossing folder. If you have this ink, you can darken it down. If you don't have this particular color ink and you still want to darken this down, you can do the same effect with Versamark. Versamark won't make it quite as dark, but it will change the color of the paper. So I did darken it down to right about here. So hopefully you can see at the bottom here that this is the original color of the cardstock. So I just wanted that to be a little bit darker. And that's because it's going to go on our card base. Shaded Spruce right here. So I'm just going to make sure I know which way it opens because I want the darker inked area along the top. Did I put it? Trying to think. Yes, I did. Okay, before we do this, this is important. So if you're doing this at home with me, if you're watching this later because you want to make the cards, just like I did, don't glue this down yet. I almost did that, but it's not quite the time to do so. We're going to bring in our designer series paper, and we're going to put this on the bottom of this piece on the front. So make sure you've got the front. I had flipped it over so that I was going to add glue to it. So we want the dark ink part to be at the top, and we're just going to put this designer series paper at the bottom. Now this is going to fit across widthwise, so it's the perfect size. And then you've got a little strip of white here, and this is going to go across. And again, doesn't matter which side on this one, it's white, but it's going to come right up here. Nope, yep, yes. Okay, nope, yep. like second guessing myself. I'm like, wait, no, yes, it is. It's going to go up here just like this. So again, bones of your card. Now what we're going to do is we're going to bring in our beautiful ribbon, and we're going to actually wrap some ribbon around here. So you're just going to cut enough to have a little bit of overhang, maybe 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch, right? We don't want to waste our ribbon. It's so pretty. And we're going to actually wrap it, but we're not going to adhere the front. We're just going to flip it over, and we're going to put our tape. It's going to go on the back. So have an idea of about where you want it to go. Now this can be moved, so it's not the end of the world if you've got the wrong spot, right? So that's pretty much the right spot right there. What we're trying to do is just come across this white paper. And I wanted the white here so that this ribbon appeared a little bit more white, but we've got that great silver. The silver lining, gotta love it, right? Okay, that one's gonna come across here. We're gonna go ahead and adhere to the back, right? So I didn't put any glue down, any tape down right here because I don't want to have that show through. Plus, we're gonna be covering quite a bit of this up. So that's okay too. Now, if you had to put a little bit of tape down because you're like, whoa, this needs to be secured, I would put it over here, maybe where the trees are going to cover it, but we should be good. All right, so here are the bones. Now we're going to flip this over, and we're going to put some dimensionals on because we're going to pop this up. We're doing a little popping up here today. Okay, so there we have it. And that's why when my first instinct was to like put that first layer down. I'm always thinking, oh, I got to put that first layer down, and then I realized like, no. I have a lot going on here. We're gonna throw some dimensionals on, see what we feel about how many we've got here. Sometimes I play the dimensional game of, do I want more? I think I'm going to add along the top here from my scraps. Now, keep in mind, as we use up all these center dimensionals, we're going to be left with these outline ones. I'm going to bring in, I think, a row. I'm always generous with these ones right here. They're going to come off just like this. And I'm going to put a row along the top, right up here, because this this embossing kind of makes it warps the paper just a little bit. This timber embossing folder, it makes the paper want to be kind of bendy, and I don't want it to, I want it to look nice. So I just put a whole big row across the top. So if you have those outside edges, that's a really great place to use some of them up. I tend to keep them and use them eventually, but sometimes it's just easier to keep digging at a brand new pack. Now again, make sure you know which way your card is going to open, right? Because you don't want to put it on upside down. And here's where we're going to center this layer right onto our card base. And now that we have all those dimensionals on the top up there, it's not really wonky. So here's the bones of your card. Really pretty, right? Let me get rid of some of my scraps here. And we're going to do our sentiment and our embossing. Now this time we're embossing the pine trees. So this is, I love the pine tree. I love pine trees, but this is a really great grouping of pine trees. So now we have 5 pine trees. They're going to go on this piece of paper, and we're heat embossing. So we are going to bring in some more silver. Again, the silver is absolutely gorgeous with our silver ribbon here. So I'm just bringing this embossing buddy in. This just takes the static off of the paper so that hopefully I have powder only where I want it to be. Bring in my powder again. I'm just going to scoop this forward. We're going to ink this up, and we're going to heat emboss some trees. And I didn't do this ahead of time, so we are going to actually be die cutting these ones too. I just thought of that. I don't have them done up ahead. So this is just going to come on here. This is, it's like invisible ink, right? It doesn't show up, but it's tacky and sticky, and it helps these powders to just kind of stick on there. So we're just going to tap off excess, and look at how pretty, like so pretty. All right, let me move the powder out of the way. We're actually going to be done embossing after this. So bring in my little tweezers here. Reversible tweezers. I think that's what they're called. Okay. All right, we're just going to heat this up for a second, make sure it's nice and warm, and then we're going to make some shiny trees. Now again, if you are not a fan of heat embossing, you could just stamp these. You don't have to emboss. These would be really pretty in just green ink. You could even do the two-tone technique that I did on the first card, and make these trees. Again, you could do two-tone trees if you wanted to. I just think they're really pretty. With the Christmas colors and the silvers and golds, can't go wrong. All right, so I think we are good here. Shiny and pretty. A little bit more right there on the bottom. All right, that is the heat embossing. Now we're going to die cut this because I did not do so earlier, and I think my little machine is across the room. So we're going to bring in the big guy here. This is the larger of the two embossing machines that you can get through Stampin' Up. And you can always do more with the big one. So I always advise, if you're only going to get one, get the big one, because it's going to do all of the things. The small one is good for small things like this, but then if you have something big, it doesn't work. All right, so we're just putting that die right over top of the image, outlining it, kind of like a cookie cutter. And off she goes. These are the hand cranks. I participate in different card making groups, and someone was asking recently, what is the best die cutting machine? And there's so many kinds out there, but I really like the hand crank ones, because I said you can use them if the power's out, right? If your electric goes out, you can still hand crank. You can't do that if you have something that you got to plug in, right? So here is our beautiful row of trees. Now these are going to go on here with some dimensionals. I'm going to bring these back in, and I'm going to just put the dimensionals on the top here, the top of my trees. And you know what? I'm just going to use a snippy here of the end. So again, just snipping off little pieces as needed, and we're going to catch that end right there. And then they're all going to come up here. So I'm not going to put things, I'm not putting adhesive here on the bottom. It's going to come across on top of this ribbon. And I really don't think that it really needs anything down there. So we're going to bring off the backings here. And got some little Christmas music playing in the background. I don't know if you can hear or not. It's choir music. I love it. All right, so we're going to just bring this right about here. So the dimensionals are catching right along here, and then we're going to put a pretty bow over here too. But before we do that, let's talk about our sentiment for this one. So on this one, I just stamped the sentiment in shaded spruce ink. So let me bring in my shaded spruce ink, and we're going to bring in our sentiment piece, and the peace and joy to you and yours. So technically, this is a bigger stamp image, right? And I felt like it was too big for this card. So let's stamp it and we're going to take a look at it. Then I got to make a pretty bow. So again, small piece of paper, because I always work with, you know, what I can work with. So peace and joy to you and yours, right? So I would probably continue this on the inside as well. But you can stamp this image on here. And look how fabulous it is. Now, if I put this on here, you can see that it's really big. It's going to cover up a lot of my pretty paper. So I did a workaround. I did the snippy workaround. So let me just close this up so I don't get this everywhere and move my stamp aside. So peace and joy to you and yours. I'm actually just going to cut out the words that I want. So I'm just going to use my paper snips, and I want joy. I probably could just cut all of these out and then keep them, right? To you and yours is going to stay. We're going to use those another time. But I just want joy here. Now these sentiments are really kind of snug together. So I'm just going to come along the bottom, and I am going to cut them quite close to the lettering. So again, if it's not perfect, it's okay, because handmade card, right? It's handmade. So you can see here that peace and really kind of looks like it's one word, but we're going to snip across peace and I've got little pieces. I've got pieces and all kinds of things all over the place. Now I got to find my joy. I'm going to find my joy, you guys. I find joy right here in my craft room, of course. So here's joy. And I have to decide if I want to snip joy a little bit closer to the top. I think I do. And there we go. Peace and joy, right? So you can see to you and yours came off very nicely. I'm going to set those aside because maybe I'll use those some other time. So now when you cut apart pieces and pieces, when you cut apart, and that I did not mean to do that. When you cut apart words from your sentiment, let's get serious and focused, Julie. Then you can break them up a little bit, and you can put them on your card in different ways. Now you could angle them if if you like to angle things. You could do kind of like a little bit of an angle. I mean, you can definitely get creative. I do kind of like to take advantage of this really great grid that's in the designer series paper. It gives me a really awesome space to know, like, okay, if I line it up here, chances are it's going to be pretty even because, well, if my paper's uneven, we should be good, right? I should go there. So we're going to do peace and joy, and then we're going to make a really pretty ribbon. So I'd love to know also, gold and silver, yes or no? Combo together? Do you like them, or are you like, nope, they have to be two separate colors on two separate cards? Because I just, all of the metals here. And of course, silver and gold, right? If you watched Rudolph growing up, you know the Yukon Cornelius. He sang about, he wanted gold, he wanted silver, he wanted all of it. And he sang all about that silver and gold. So we've got them both going on here on our card. So I'm just going to snip off, move my little scrappy piece here. Whoop, there it is. And we're going to tape this bow down to our card. So I always look to see which side looks nicer, and then determine that the tape should go on the back side. Because I feel like one side of the bow always looks a little bit better than the other. The hard part here, of course, is trying to get the backing off of the tape once it's on the ribbon, and then leave the tape on there. Now you could use glue dots too. You don't have to use tear and tape, but the tear and tape has a really great sticking power. So I feel like the tear and tape is the way to go. So here is our second card, Peace and Joy. Really pretty with the silver and gold. Hopefully you guys are enjoying these beautiful cards here today. Jess says she likes copper and silver. Oh, gold and silver. Yep, gold and silver. I do like the gold and silver. Copper and silver. I'm gonna have to try that, Jess, to see if I like that one too. That's a good combo. I like the combo ideas here. All right, so card number 2, Peace and Joy. We're all done with that one. We're gonna move on to our final card, and we are going to, again, continue to use Joy to You sentiments. Now this one is going to be our most Christmassy card. So as you're looking at this card kit here, you're going to see lots of great Christmas colors, right? I'm just making sure I got everything out of here. So again, 2 of everything. You've got 2 envelopes. You've got some great layering pieces here. We're gonna just put together one together. This is, again, that great, really great silvery fun pattern. Designer series, the shiny papers. Again, looks so good with the silver. It's just, I love the coordination. Now we have the green. Now this is shaded spruce. I stuck with shaded spruce. I did not switch up to another green. This is embossed with the little snowflakes. So this is really fun. You can have heavy at the top, or you can have you know, heavier at the bottom. Depends on how you want to do that. And you're getting tent fold cards. So you're getting card bases that are going to be a tent fold. So let me bring in the card here. This is going to be Sending Good Tidings in the Season of Cheer. Very traditionally red and green, right? Very Christmassy. And again, it's a tent fold, so it's going to open this way. And I have a card base right here. So I have my card base for my tent fold. Tent folds are just fun to change it up sometimes. So let's just put this embossed piece down first. Now I kept the heavier snow on the bottom of my card. You can put this on the top if you want when you get this kit in the mail. So I'm going to go ahead and layer this on here. This is just the 4 by 5 1/4 mat, right? So we've got white on white here, which I think is really gorgeous. Just again, remember which way it's going to open for you so that you have that where you want it to go. Let's put together a couple of layers here. We're going to just put our designer series paper. Again, this is another piece of designer series paper that is one-sided. The opposite side is white because it's just meant to be this pretty paper on the front. So there's no decision here. Sometimes it's nice to have no decision. Most of our designer series paper have 2 sides, and I always feel bad putting one down. Like, oh, that's such a beautiful pattern, and now I have to put it down, right? So we're not going to do that. We are going to wrap some ribbons. So this, again, it's a little bit different way to use ribbons. So we're going to, again, wrap around. So you're going to make sure that you have a like 3/4 to an inch here on each side of your cardstock, so you have enough to wrap. So we're going to just put this on here, and again, we're going to flip it over, secure it on the back. So find the end of my tear and tape here. And we're going to do a different kind of wrapping this time. And you know, we're getting prepared for wrapping season, right? So I've got the ribbon that runs up and down. Now, is it super visible? No, because there's so much silver going on, but the effect here is pretty. It actually wraps around. We're going to put the little bow here underneath our sentiment, which I think is really cute. Very, very Christmas paper-esque, right? Christmas wrapping-esque. So I'm bringing in Real Red for this one. We've got Real Red Shaded Spruce. Somewhere I have a sentiment that says, sending good tidings in this season of cheer. Now, what I like about these big blocky sentiments is that you can really just use some pretty paper, stamp this on something, and you pretty much have a card good to go, right? Pretty paper. I do have this tree that we're gonna die cut, but you could punch something. If you don't have this set, you could put a different tree here, right? But the sentiment and the pretty paper are pretty much taking up most of our card. So this is a really easy one to make, but it's really pretty. So sending good tidings in the season of cheer. This does fit all the way onto the ink pad, which is really nice. Just make sure I got a lot of ink on there. Now it's going to fit right on here. I promise you it's going to fit on here. This is the cling. This is the red rubber. So you can't see through it. So you really have to kind of know where your paper is, where your stamp is. You can see a little bit of the outside, but you're not going to be able to see all the way down through. And it is snug. I'm not gonna lie, I made it snug because I didn't want to have a lot of surround. I wanted to have it just really be sentiment. So here it is, just like that. Sending good tidings. I love this. It's just really pretty. And we're going to put this onto a nice little red mat here. So I'm going to go ahead and add some adhesive to the back side and then put this matted onto this Real Red, which is really pretty. Now this is going to come on over top of here with some dimensionals, but before we do that, let's do our die cutting because I didn't die cut this one either. So we're going to die cut again. So let me look through our shapes here and our dies, and we're going to use this pine tree right here. Now on the first card, we use very similar shaped, if you can remember from the first card, right? They look like fish bones. This is true, they did look like fish bones or spines. This one is a little bit more pine tree-y, so it's got the basic, you know, the trunk, and it goes up through, and you've got the pine boughs. So we're going to go ahead and die cut that one because I didn't do that yet. So this is easy peasy too. We're going to bring back in the embossing die cutting machine and all of our plates. So I have this already set up with the base plate, the shim, the clear plate on the bottom, which is not really clear because it's really dirty, and then the clear plate on top. Now because we're not lining up over top of a stamped image, this is a really easy way to die cut. You just have to make sure that your die fits your paper. So if you're new to die cutting, this is how I recommend you start, because it's kind of magical, right? My plates are really dirty and used. They're well loved. So sometimes you may have to use paper or take your pick tool. I use this for so many different things. So here is our beautiful little pine tree, right? Here's our little cookie cutter. That's gonna go back. Here's our shape. Now you can, some of the shapes, not necessarily this one, but some shapes you can use as stencils and create even more awesome things. I'm going to bring in shaded spruce ink, and I believe this is my shaded spruce dauber. Yes, I need to label them. So we're going to change up the look here a little bit. So I don't know if you can tell or not, if I put them kind of side by side here for a second. The plain paper always looks so flat to me until I add extra ink. I am a fan of getting inky fingers and just ink it up. So we're just going to bring the dauber in again, just onto the ink pad here. We're just going to come across the outside a little bit, kind of just sweeping it across here. And my fingers may or may not get pretty inky because I'm just holding it up. Now, if you're like, oh man, I can't possibly, you could put this on a piece of scrap paper and do, you know, however you wanted to. But I love that once it has extra green on it, it just comes to life. Like absolutely fantastic. Now, of course, I probably have green on everything, so I may be transferring some extra ink. So we're going to put our little tree down flat. And again, I'm going to take advantage of the middle trunk here. Just throw some glue down on there. And then this is going to come over here, and I'm going to let it come off the side of the red just a little bit. I like to not have things just completely on, right? So you can see that it peeks off just slightly. And we're going to put this onto our card with dimensionals. So we're going to bring some more of these guys in. Dimensionals are awesome. So just use however many you feel is going to do your project well. I don't don't know, sometimes I go in like different directions and I'm like, yep, that's good. And then other times I'm like, no, I need one here and here. And I go a little crazy sometimes, but there we go. I always feel, before I take this backing off, so there's backings on here. So right now they're not sticky. I could put this down, pick it up, we're good to go. Once I take the backings off, this is instant sticky, and I put it down, there's really no going back. But right now I can put this on my project and I can go, oh, I might need another, you can feel it, right? You can tell, maybe I need a dimensional here, here, here. That's a good way to judge it. So I call that dry fitting. I dry fit a lot of things. So I like to just kind of put it on my project just to see, do I have enough dimensionals? Do I need another one somewhere before I make the commitment? Because once these little backings come off and then stick to your fingers. Once these are off though, they're sticky, as they should be because they're adhesives. All right, so we're gonna put this on here and center it, and it's just so pretty. This combination, classic combination, right? Just absolutely beautiful. Now we're not done. We're gonna put dimensionals on this guy too. So we're going to go ahead and continue. Now this one did come off the back, so I'm not gonna worry about dry fitting it. I know I need about 5 for this size. So 5 is good here. Peel these babies off and we're going to pop this down. Now this time, again, right side up is always important. I'm trying to put this sentiment piece kind of in the middle of my ribbon here so that the bow comes on the bottom and it all looks really nice together. So I'm just going to go ahead and line up here right about in the middle and leave enough room on the bottom for a bow, hopefully. Yeah, I could have come up just a smidge, but we're good. Now I did come over to, it does actually line up to the side, which is really nice, but of course, wherever it lines up is going to be perfect, meant to be. So I'm going to make a quick bow here again off the spool. Adjust it a little bit here and get on my ribbon scissors, trim the ends which way I want them to go. This is going to come on here on the bottom, again with some tear and tape. That's my favorite way. I would not recommend using the liquid glue for your ribbons because of course we know liquid glue is liquid, right? It's going to get your ribbons wet, but it might not necessarily make them stick. So tear and tape, regular tape, a glue dot, those are all great ways to do those kinds of applications. And then we've got the ribbon right there kind of lining up there to the bottom. Isn't that beautiful? I love this one. Actually, I think this one is my favorite. It is definitely the most Christmassy. This classic combination of the white and the red and the green. So pretty. I'm going to bring in all the cards now just so we can take a peek at them and see. Card 3 is Jess's favorite. You know, I try to save the best for last. I really do. So we've got the beautiful green, beautiful green, right? So again, your card kits, you're going to be making 2 of each. So you're going to get 2 of each of these cards, and you can flip around the paper on this one, but the other 2, the designer series paper, is just meant to be front only. But look at how much pretty silver there is. I just adore these cards. So I hope you do too. So I'm going to check comments really quickly. That was a pretty quick class. We did this in way under an hour today. Deb loves these cards. The first one is your favorite. So you like the one with the blues. Oh my gosh, I love that one too. Bonnie loves the 3rd card. Nice to know. That is awesome. So I'm really glad that I was able to put together, really a cohesive card kit. I don't think you could go wrong with any of these cards, either any of the 3. And how pretty would it be to make up 6 cards and then gift them away to someone to then use? I think as card makers, we tend to think about cards that we need for us to send, but as a card maker, it's really nice to gift our cards to someone who doesn't make cards so that they can send those handmade cards as well. So think about that as you're trying to come up with ideas for the impossible to shop person. Handmade cards in a beautiful packaging might be just the thing. So I'm just helping you out here with your Christmas shopping as we go. So continue. I would love to know as you continue to watch this. If you're watching replay, please let me know what your favorite card is. I like to kind of judge. I like to see what you guys like. Make sure you check out Positive Paper Crafters on Wednesday. There will be a color swap card, and you might be thinking, how can you color swap something that's so red and green or traditional colors? Or I have a really cool color swap card coming, and I want you to think outside the box a little bit with me, because Pine trees, this is pine trees. These are definitely not Christmas trees. They are pine trees, right? There's no ornaments on them. There's no tree skirts. There's no collar, right? So pine trees can come in all kinds of, different packaging. So that is it for our second week of the Festival of Trees. I'm so glad you guys could join me for this. If you have any questions on the ordering for this week, just let me know and I would be glad to help you out with that. And that's what I've got. So I appreciate your time, and I will be back on Thursday with a fun fold, and I am continuing to prep for my Christmas stamp camp. Melissa says the first card is her favorite. Those are great. I love those colors. That Pool Party, Lost Lagoon. I love those colors too. All right, everybody. Thank you again so much. And until next time, stay inspired, create something beautiful, and share the love. Bye.